Hello, good night, everyone. And I'm happy to be here once again with the 107.1 FM family. I must say that it has been a pleasure for me to work with 107.1 family for the past year. And as I made mention in December, that 107.1 radio and Facebook has caused our brothers and sisters in Guyana, the diaspora, and around the world to be able to understand what really is happening as it relates to political development in our beautiful country. I am Dinesh Jaiprashad, and this is the Dinesh Jaiprashad Show. And I want to say that I do look forward for your support and your criticism, positive criticism, which I have used to empower me to make these programs more very informative. I must say, on behalf of myself and family, Happy New Year to all of you, wonderful individuals who are listening, viewing, wherever you are. Let us try to unite together so that we can make 2022 a better year for us. We know that we are in a very destructive time. We are in a time that is very much against humanity. But we say that let us do not lose hope. Continue to have hope, and that will be able to give us the drive so that we can be able to do the things that we want to do and make life the best that we can. Number one issue for tonight's discussion is COVID-19. We have in Guyana 46,000 plus cases. A small country with 750,000 people or less have 46,000 cases of COVID. This is alarming. This is very, very, very high. And based on our percentage wise, it is very much impacting on the livelihood of our brothers and sisters. And more so, 1,073 deaths for a population of 750,000 persons. To have 1,073 deaths means that there is gross negligence. There are other countries with more population, far more than us, and they are able to curtail their numbers. For us in Guyana, this is being seen as a joke. No one adhering, most of our brothers and sisters not adhering to the rules, the laws, and the prescribed practices. We see that we still have all sorts of religious activities and meetings and public forums. All these things continue to happen. We see we still have large gatherings at public spaces. We see our markets. Well, that is a chaos. Basically, no one at the markets abide by the COVID regulations. We see our schools also getting infected, teachers and children. So I am saying, brothers and sisters, this COVID is deadly. At least we can try to respect it. And in respecting it, we need to do our part. Stay home. Stay home, brothers and sisters. Do what is necessary. If you have to get out and do what is necessary and get home back. I am saying to all of us that we need to be a bit more careful as to what we do. We know that the Ministry of Health is not capable of managing this COVID. Do not depend on them. Do not depend on them. I am telling you that if you catch this COVID and you go to the health facilities, you get from bad to worse. We do not have the space to deal with the magnitude of the people. Our health system is not functioning to capacity. The doctors and the nurses are human beings like us. They will get sick too. So I'm appealing to our brothers and sisters in Berbice, Essequibo, Demerara, wherever you are. Let us try to protect ourselves and family. Don't depend on the Ministry of Health. Frank can do it. It has been 500 days and he has not shown the capacity to. He has not shown the capacity to maintain some sort of order as it relates to the COVID. So I'm appealing to you, brothers and sisters. Do not depend on the Ministry of Health. They are failing us. You need to do the correcting so that you will not fail yourself and family. Do not go to a party. Do not socialize. Maintain your social and physical distancing. Practice the safety measures. Put on the mask. The law says as soon as you leave home, put on the mask. I have seen some countries, the police officers, very busy in having law and order, dropping lashes on some people because they are, you know, prospective agents of spreading this coronavirus. They walk aimlessly in the public without a reason. Brothers and sisters, let us be sensible. Let us stop for a moment and think as to what we are doing. This COVID situation have brought about two other strain or variants or other sickness, disease, which are very much detrimental to our survival. It has nothing to do with age now. It is hitting everybody. So you might say that I am okay, I am 35 or I am 40, I am strong. No, no, no. Don't think that way. So I'm appealing to you, wherever you are, Respect this thing that is known as COVID. Stay far from it. Don't go to crowds. All our tongues are hotspots, and more villages everywhere. We have hotspots. Please stay home. You have to go and buy your goods and groceries and so go and get it and come back home. Do not take things for granted. Um, so much on the COVID. Remember, your life is important. Your life is important. Do not take things for granted. And if you have any doubts, get a medical advice. Please take your vaccine. There is a rush now in the States and Canada and even Guyana for vaccine. People see what is happening, and some people start to get sense now. I am saying to you, let good judgment prevail. Most of these people who are dying, most of them did not take the vaccine. I am saying the vaccine will not stop you from having COVID 19, but a vaccine builds the immune system so that you will not be hospitalized. And even if you do go to the hospital, you will not die. There is a possibility. I'm not professing, but there is a possibility that you will not die. So I'm appealing to you, brothers and sisters, wherever you are, on a humanistic approach whereby we all want to live. Survival. Let us do the correct thing. So we know that the Ministry of Health is incapable of dealing with this pandemic, but the honorable, the honorable is not, willing to come out to say, "Yeah, I need some help and I need assistance." We have been calling on our brothers and sisters everywhere to take the vaccine, but we need to have a proper system. And there is a system that is used in Cuba whereby they have mobile units driving house to house, giving vaccine. Guyana is a rich country. Look the amount of oil money that we have. And you are telling us here that you can't put systems in place. We have had COVID here for 2 years, almost 2 years. And no one from the government saw it fit to say that, okay, we are proposing another infectious disease hospital to be placed in Essequibo or Berbice. All the money that we have in this country, we have a pandemic. Thank God for David Granger and the infectious disease hospital in Georgetown. Right? Thank God for that. If that was not here, what would have been the situation for us in Guyana? A lot of money costing the project. Now is what you need to take note of. The project is saving our lives. Why can't you, Honorable Minister, say that there will be a project like that for Berbice and there will be a project like that for Essequibo? Because we know that you have been there for more than a year, 500 plus days. 500 plus days. You gotta build 2 more infectious hospitals, but you do not want to deal with COVID properly. You have enough money. We have enough money in this country. We could have gone to Berbice and to Essequibo and built 2 facilities to manage and deal with this pandemic. You see how much money we have given to Gaisuku? More than 10 billion. More than 10 billion we have given to Gaisuku. And what subsidy we have given to the people? Little or nothing. We give it 25,000 and we say, oh, Guyana give handouts. We big, Facebook big, promoting the 25,000 cash grant. So that was a big COVID relief. You must find out how much people get in the United States. And many people want to compare Guyana with the United States. You find out from your family, your relative overseas, how much incentives they receive in the States And we 25,000 is big thing. A lot of people coming on TV and say, oh, the 25,000 was good, good, good. And they do X, Y, and Z. How long 25,000 can maintain us in Guyana situation? So they give you one time, 1 month you eat it out. And what happened to the other 11 months? Brothers and sisters, we need to think reality. The government has enough money to give us 25,000 every month. We sit in parliament and we know the amount of money that is being passed for projects, many projects, but no time they are bringing to the house for 25,000 every month. No, the first 25,000 not even done yet because some people still with pink slip. Why can't the minister propose 25,000 every month for our Guyanese people? Why can't the minister propose that the government will subsidize GPL and GWI and GT&T for the people? And these are real questions. These are real questions that we need to take into consideration. A lot of us would need more than a 25,000. When you walk the communities, you know what is happening. When you visit some depressed areas, you know what is happening. So, brothers and sisters, I am saying to you that you need to ask these questions. You need to ask these questions. When the ministers come to your community, when they come to your area, and they want to bring a 25 hampers, I don't want to talk more about that, but it is humiliating to know that Guyana, rich oil country, people lining up in the hundreds to collect a hamper. That is happening to us in 21st century. There is no. That is modern day slavery. And you know what one individual said? That's what we have to do. We have to keep them at that level so that they depend on us. Every month we give them a hamper and they eat it out 2, 3, 4, 5 days and they are done with it. And they wait for us to come next month. Keep them at that level so you can manipulate them. One individual said that. Political figure. I am saying that is nonsense. If you really want to help the people, put systems in place to help our brothers and sisters. So I'm calling upon the government. We have experienced COVID almost 2 years now. How much have you subsidized GPL? A lot of people out of job. A lot of people you sent home. A lot of people out of jobs. A lot of people who used to work with people were sent home as well. They are feeling it very difficult to pay these utility bills. Why can't you, the government, subsidize 50% or 75% of all the GPL bills for our population? Or you can do something. Do a feasibility study. Do a needs assessment and say, hey, what happened? Who working for more than 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000 will pay the full bill. Who working for less, we pay half for you. Who don't have a job, we pay it for you. But the government has, you have to do certain things. I don't want to put that you're, incapable of doing certain things. I am suggesting to you that you need to get out there and say, hey, what happened? We have 2,000 persons who are working at this scale, and we have 5,000 at this scale, and we have 25,000 at this scale, and we will do the justification and say, hey, what happens? The person who are in scale A, they afford it. They can maintain themselves. They can pay their bills. But a person who are at scale B, C, and D, the government needs to subsidize with GPL. So these are the questions that you need to ask when these politicians come to your community. You need to say to them that, sir, minister, when you will help us with subsidies with GPL, when you will help us with subsidy with GWI. These are necessities. These are the things that we need to survive. You are telling us that if someone light get cut off now, you got to get reconnection fee and you got to do all these things. Is basically PPP, punishing poor people, punishing poor people. You know, P is for punish, P is for poor, and P is for people. So you see what the PPP doing to you? I am appealing to you. When these PPP individuals come to your area, ask them. Ask them why. Ask them why they are not ensuring that we have subsidies. I am saying this because there are a lot of poor people in our communities who can't afford to pay their light bill and their water bill. But these same individuals do not want to come out and say it, but they come quietly and say, MP, I want you to make this representation. I want you to do this and do that and do that. So I say, I go call your name. No, MP, you can't call my name. I don't want my name called because nobody's gonna see me. So I'm saying, officials who are listening, please take note. People don't eat road. We have had COVID almost 2 years, and we are saying to you, we are saying to you that you need to ensure that you put some systems in place so that our brothers and sisters can be able to have a decent way of life. Please do that. And in doing so, we will be able to enjoy the life that we want to enjoy because of our newfound natural resource oil. Um, there is still a controversy as it relates to the bill that was proposed. Some say it was passed, some say it was not passed. But we know without the maize, no bill can be passed. So the maize was not present in the House. The original maize, the maize that is supposed to be there, was not there. So that is a question for you to ask when the time is right. So it was brought to the House that the bill number 20 of 2021, the Natural Resource Fund Bill 2021, came to the House, I think the 15th of December, later on in December, whereby the PPP brought some amendments to this bill, whereby we are saying that amending this bill will cause one individual to literally decide the fate of all of us. And I'm saying this resource, this natural resource that we have, is not a, I have it here, is not a Barnum, Cherry, Desmond, Barrett, Donald, Granger, or Irfan property. Are you hearing me? This natural resource that is with us now does not belong to any head estate, former or current. They are custodian of the country's wealth to be diverted to the people, not for 5 individuals to decide our fate. And the people needs to understand this. This bill All right, put the bill aside. This resource that we say that is oil has nothing to do with race, religion, ethnicity, or class. This resource that we have is very, very much important. This resource, I must pause to say special good night to my colleague, Honorable Sherwood Holder, Member of Parliament and newly elected Chairman of the PNC. Good night, sir. How are you?
Good night, Dinesh. I'm fine, and good night to your viewers. Happy to be on your program tonight after a
Thank you.
long time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Um, MPI was discussing just now that this bill, the bill that was brought to the Parliament, um, it is still in controversial issues whereby we do not know if you know. I'm saying that if a bill is to be passed in Parliament, the mace is supposed to be there, the original correct mace, and it was not there. So so I'm saying that we still have doubts on that. And I was saying to the viewers that this bill does not belong to Bornam Cherry, Desmond, Janet, Bharat, Donald, Granger, or Irfan. This is not their birthright. This is the country's birthright. This belongs to each and every citizen of this nation. And it is wrong for us to pass a bill that puts our fate, our children and grandchildren fate into the hands of five persons. So that was my leading up to your part coming into to this. So happy new year again, my brother. Thank you for coming on, and I want you to share with our viewers um, what really this amendment will cause the Guyanese people. How much we will, benefit or suffer from this new law that they want to bring to us. Over
Okay,
to you.
thanks for having me once again, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak with you and your viewers tonight. Um, this bill is one of the most crucial bills that would have been placed on the table in Parliament in the last year. It's a very, very crucial bill. It has implications for not only you and I, who are here presently, but for our children and also our children's children. You are correct to say that this is our national patrimony, this oil wealth, this wealth that we've been dreaming about since for decades now, since maybe way back in the 70s or 80s, when we had some idea that Guyana had oil. But with all the controversy and all the geopolitics and everything that played out, we were not able to access this resource. And now that our coalition government laid that foundation to ensure that we saw force oil, and we put in place immediately measures that would safeguard the oil and safeguard our national patrimony. I think that the coalition should be commended for doing that back in 2019. But we're at a sad point in the country's history at the moment. We're at a very, very crucial point, and it's very disappointing to know that with all the oil, that have been discovered so far, and with all the monies, I believe we have um, probably close to $100 billion there sitting in that account. One would have thought that the people of Guyana, especially the poor, the disadvantaged, the vulnerable, would be better off. That is the general expectation. So when we discovered oil, when we had forced oil back in 2019, there was a lot of celebration, a mood of, an upbeat mood. Persons were thinking very positively about the country and where it would go, given the vast amount of oil that we know that is there. And if we fast forward now to 2022, that mood has changed. It has changed significantly. And there is a reason for that, Dinesh. There is a main reason for that. And it's what I would say, it's the PPP government coming to office. With them coming to office, the mood of the entire country has changed. Because essentially what we have seen over the last year is a government that has been practicing anything but good governance. There's a lot of corruption, mismanagement in all sectors. And you see a vast manifestation of incompetence. So when you couple that with, and you put it into context with what's happening in the oil industry now, people generally are not feeling it. They're not feeling, they're numb to it. So this whole thing about oil and where oil will get us. And we've
Exactly.
gotten to the point where the government has failed so miserably that they're now seeking to do damage control one and I will tell you how they're doing it. You had Jack Dio the other day saying that, you know, we will not see any benefit from this oil in the next, I don't know if he said the next 5 years, I believe, or something like that, or till after 2025. So they're setting the stage already because they understand that the people are just fed up. The country is not in a better state than it was 5 years ago. As a matter of fact, I believe that we have been moving backwards. Most Guyanese, I believe, are having that kind of thought at the moment that instead of we progress with this oil, we are moving backwards. And
Backwards.
so, in the first instance, they're trying to create this. They're creating the excuses already for their failures, for their incompetence in handling, in managing our country, in practicing proper governance, good governance, and managing the oil sector in a way that will benefit all Guyanese. So that is one thing they're trying to do. The next thing they're trying to do, I believe they understand fully well that people are hurting, people are suffering in this current economy that we have here right now. As most persons would want to say, um, things tight in this country right now,
Exactly.
especially for the poorer class of people. But while that is happening, we see the bigger folks, the small group. We see the hotels going up, and we see a number of other things. This small clique are progressing, and so that has not escaped the general populace. They know what is happening. They understand fully well that this government is a government that is for a small clique, that is putting monies in the pockets of a very small group.
All few,
A
right.
small group, a small group is getting all the contracts, for example, all the big multi-million dollar contracts. They're getting all the lands, the mining concessions, and all these different things. And they have no focus on the poor people, no focus on the poor and vulnerable people. And that goes across race boundaries. It goes across religion. It goes across the entire country.
Exactly.
Whether you're
A question.
Indo-Guyanese, whether you're Afro-Guyanese, whether you're indigenous Guyanese, we are all suffering the same fate under
Same.
this
Exactly.
administration. They're an administration that only care about themselves and a very, very small group. And so
Yes.
I know I haven't gotten to the bill, but I wanted to give a background as to what is happening, put everything into context. And so when we get to the bill and our actions, we can properly explain it, why we take certain actions in the parliament. So we come to the bill now, and I think this was a golden opportunity. What they should have done first is to acknowledge the APNU AFC bill that was properly passed in parliament. As far as I know, as far as we all know,
Yes.
they tried to hoodwink the Guyanese people and put out a lot of propaganda out there. You know, the PVP is very good with propaganda. They tried to give an impression that the bill that we passed in 2019 is not valid, and so they need to bring another bill. But who determines whether the bill is valid or not? I never heard of any court saying that the bill was not valid. The
Exactly.
same way how Charandas was able to, the court said that, eventually said that, well, confidence was properly passed, or whatever the case might be. And although um, he was not properly placed in parliament, given that he did not disclose his dual
Citizenship.
citizenship, etc.
Yeah.
Now, the same way, all the bills that were passed in parliament were valid. If Charandas's vote was valid, then all the bills there were valid. So we move past that. So we have a valid bill. But you still get a PVP going out there and telling people that the bill wasn't valid. So that is where we can start on this bill that they brought to the parliament. Now, when you compare that 2019 bill, I'm sorry that I don't have a copy here because we could have gone through it. Maybe some other time we can go through it. But I would have
Okay.
liked to show the Guyanese people how superior, how superior that bill was when you compare it with what they're bringing now. I'm not saying that it was a perfect bill. Bills in parliament, when laws are enacted, you always come back later on and you find different things that needs to be changed,
Updated.
adjusted
Right. Right.
based on the
Correct.
situation, the current situation in the country. But that bill, as a start, was a very good bill. And I want to point
So,
out the two
so a
major
question to
problems
you.
that we,
Yeah.
yes,
A
go ahead.
question directly. In terms of weighing the two, which one you see that there is more accountability to the people?
Well,
With
I'm happy that you asked that question, because I have the PPP's bill here in front of me, just taking a look at it again, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that our bill, in terms of accountability, the area of accountability and transparency, it was way superior than this bill here, and that is one of the major problems that we had with this bill, because the APNU AFC coalition put in some measures that prevented us as a government, while our party was in government, from just going and handle the fund and do whatever we feel like with it.
exactly.
We
I'm
put
happy. I'm happy that you're bringing that point out because we need to go back to that. Our bill, the bill of 2019, gives the authority to Parliament, you know, and a larger group of persons to deal with this fund. What we are having now
exactly,
is just a handful too, you know. So if
yes,
you can,
exactly.
yeah, work that out.
Exactly. You had a 22-member commission, what we want to call a committee, put in
Committee,
place
yes.
there. Persons coming from the government, persons coming from the opposition, persons coming from different organizations in civil society. So all and sundry had oversight over what could and should be done with the oil money. And so, to my mind, our bill was way superior. We had the Guyanese people at heart when we placed
Thank
that
you for saying.
that commission, when we put that bill on the table and we placed those measures, those clauses into that bill, because we were thinking about the future generation. We wanted to limit ourselves. We wanted to ensure that there was oversight and we did not fall into the oil course as so many other countries have done. We would have studied a number of other countries that would have failed in that regard. when it comes to oil and managing those resources. We would have looked to countries like Norway, who has a proper local content policy in place, a proper system to safeguard. And I just mentioned local content because that is a whole different discussion that we could
Yes,
have,
sir.
that we wouldn't have time to discuss that tonight. Maybe another night we can look at local content. But we looked at different models, and I can tell you this the private sector, the same private sector out there, private sector commission rather, was quite happy and excited with our bill. They were happy that they could have chosen somebody. I think they wanted to select somebody from the World Bank or the Caribbean Development Bank to sit on their behalf on that committee. And so they were very, very excited and happy as to the measures that we placed in that bill. And if they were honest enough, this commission, and I believe in the private sector, and I think that we can work with them, but they have to change their mode of operation. There are certain things that they have to change. And so we should start speaking with them. But they have to change some mode of operation. They got to start holding this government accountable. They must
Exactly.
be truthful and say to the people of Guyana, the people of this country, that they were happy with a vast majority of the measures, especially the one with in relation to accountability and transparency with that committee that we put in place. They were excited over it. And so we sought to safeguard the people's money. And that is the PNC's problem, the coalition's problem, one of the major problems we have with this bill, uh, Dinesh. That was one of the major problems. And I do believe, from looking at social media, from looking at the general, the print media and so out there was a big outcry, a huge, huge outcry out there, including persons from the private sector that were not happy with the way how the PPP went about this bill. So there are a number of flaws in this bill itself. And on top of that, they try to rush it through the parliament.
Parliament.
But we'll get to the rushing part. But I still want to deal with the contents of the bill. So they changed that 22-member commission with what? With what they changed it with? What they put, and I can read it for you. It's in clause 5. It
Yeah.
says here that there shall be a board of directors of the fund, which shall comprise of not less than 3 or not
Three,
more than 5
more than
members,
five.
who shall be appointed by the president, one of whom shall be appointed chairperson by the president.
President.
Now, the president, there shall be a board. That's all they're saying. There is no criteria or no, nothing that is telling us how exactly is the president selecting these members. It can be a 3-man yes man committee. For all we care, it can be a 3-member yes person committee, and the president appoints one of them as chairperson, and that's it. That is how we will manage billions upon billions of our oil money.
Exactly.
And so the PDP could just dip their hand in it at any time that they feel and do whatever they feel like. That
So,
is the state that is what this bill offers right now. And and
yeah.
it goes on further to say, and they like to boast about this, that one of these persons shall be nominated by the National Assembly, and one shall be a representative from the private sector. This doesn't change the ball game. This doesn't change the ball game, because nominated by the National Assembly doesn't mean that person comes from the
Opposition.
opposition or whatever. They have a majority there, and so they will force it in whichever way they want. They have a 1-seat majority, and from the precedents that was set in the parliament over the last year, they will use that 1-seat majority to bulldoze the representatives of the people. And so they will select one of their cronies to put who will be a yes person to the minister and to the president. And then it goes on to say that one will come from the private sector. Same place, Same exact, that is why we gave the private sector a man. We give different transparency international, I believe, different civil society groups. We
Society,
give them
everybody,
that
religious, right,
opportunity.
everybody.
They select their person and we come as a group and we have proper oversight. Whether the private sector wants to look after the PPP interests, that is up to them. You come there, you sit, and you're able to have proper oversight. You were able to hold the APNU AFC government accountable. But this PPP government, accountability and transparency eludes them. They're
Very
not
much.
interested in that. Right now, it's all about corruption and who can fill their pockets the fastest. And if you judge on what they have been doing, I think the oil money they're going crazy with this oil money, Dinesh. It's certainly getting to their heads, and they're getting more and more bold. And that is why we as an opposition have to step up our game and begin to put more stringent measures in place, begin to rally the people of this country, begin to explain to them these issues in ways which they can understand, they can relate to it, and they too can participate in holding this government accountable.
Accountable, accountable. Yeah. So
We have to.
you have said a mouthful there, MP Holder. I think that you saying it exactly how it is, um, reaffirm our position that we will continue to rally for the justice of our people. We know that it is not petty cash, but this is the deciding factor for the future of this country. This oil fund is our future, and we want the Guyanese people to understand that our system had a better accountability, more people overseeing what really will happen. Now you have less person overseeing what is happening. It means then that there is room for mismanagement of public funds. We have like 4 minutes more. Your closing remarks.
Well, what I would want to say, I wanted to add quickly also that they also placed in their clauses that they could commit daylight robbery on the Guyanese people. And I know this program, we went through it so fast, but there are so many things that we can say on
You
this
have to
bill
write.
to expose it. Tonight, what I tried to do is to explain in very simple terms so that your viewing public can understand what is it really in this bill. I think we need to know to do more of that. What
Deeper,
I would
yes.
add is that they have a clause in there that they allows them to withdraw 100% of that money. I think that is appalling at this stage. So as it is right now, although we believe and we know that this bill has been illegally pushed through the parliament, they can now go and withdraw 100% of this money. But I will say to the public that the bill pushing through the parliament illegally is not the end of it. We intend to challenge this at every step of the way. It is our intention to challenge it. I can speak on behalf of the PNCR as the chairman of the PNCR. And well, you and I being members alike,
Of the PNC,
I
right?
will say this to you. I will say this to your viewing public rather, that the the intention of the PNCR is to promote and protect the interests of the poor, the interests of the vulnerable, the interests of the disadvantaged, the single parents, the elderly, you name it. We have a reinvigorated PNCR that will ensure that we hold this PPP government accountable and
Accountable.
we curb their excesses. There are those out there that try to put a spin on what happened in the parliament as it relates to this bill. But I'm saying to you and the general public that if we have to stand on the side of the people, that is what we will do. We will do everything in our power. If it means that we have to take the mace, remove that mace, which is the power of the speaker and the National Assembly, then we will do it.
Do it
in the
again.
interest of all Guyanese, to protect the interests of all Guyanese. I thank you for having me tonight, and I do hope to come again when we can talk a little bit more about this natural resource fund, because there's a lot, there are so many things more that we can
Things to
talk on,
clarify.
and maybe we can talk on local content also in the
Thank you.
next on the next program.
So,
Thank you, Dinesh.
brothers and sisters, on the 107.1 family, there we had Honorable Sherwin Holder, Member of Parliament and Chairman of the PNCR. My brother, thank you very much for explaining to us tonight some of the very pertinent and important aspect of the Natural Resource Bill. We know that we have to have another program to dissect it so that we can be able to share to the people what really the accounting part that we have to hold the government accountable for. So, viewers, listeners everywhere, 107.1 on the ground radio, Facebook, thank you. See you next week. Stay safe. Thank you very much. Good night, sir.
Thank you. Good night.